This is Deej. I'm here with my brother Smokey. What's up?
How's it going?
This is the Flash Focus 2025 AL Central preview. All right, let's jump right into it with the White Sox. So last year, as you may recall, the 24 White Sox were the worst team ever. They had the most losses in modern baseball history. That's really bad. So I predict they will not be worse. They're going to be better than 121 losses. What do you think, Smokey?
I think they look a little better. I mean, they signed Michael Taylor and they signed Gallo, and they have a couple pitchers that they sign, including Martin Perez. I think they'll be a little bit improved. And they got some young guys that are probably some organic improvement going on there.
Yeah, it's so hard to see them as being better since they traded away Garrett Crochet and Eric Fedde, though. And they did add Martin Perez, who is a good pitcher, but he's not as good as either of those guys. So let's look over their depth chart here. Michael A he's a good outfielder. Looks like Fangraphs has Michael A kind of being the fourth outfielder, not getting starting playing time anywhere. So this outfield of Benintendi, Robert, and Tauchman is like it's not awful. It's like a solid major league outfield. I mean, like no MVPs or anything, and Benintendi's kind of been struggling, but they all have the upside to be average, I think. And Andrew Vaughn at first, he's a solid player. And then looks like Vargas is going to get a decent amount of playing time. I remember Lennon Sosa at second from last year. Never heard any of these shortstops. I assume that's going to be a zero WAR situation. They got Matt Thaiss and Omar Narvaez as some decent veteran depth at catcher, but yeah, I'm not really seeing a particularly impressive batting order here. I don't know what do you think about the batting order, Smoke?
I mean, they're not a good team. Let's be honest with ourselves. They'll be lucky to win 100 games, but I don't think they're going to lose, 120 again this year.
Yeah, they
They'll
can't
probably be in
possibly.
yeah, they'll be in the 100 loss range, but they'll
Yeah.
be a little better.
All right, so yeah, and this let's look over this bullpen real quick. Yeah, I mean like Gus Varland is the only I don't know. Yeah, it's not a good bullpen. The rotation, it's like Martin Perez and pray for rain. Yeah, clearly they have not attempted to improve, but they have to improve because they will not be the worst team again. It just you can't do that. That's just how numbers work. So what how many wins you thinking for the White Sox here, Smoke?
I mean, I might give them 60 wins.
In 60 wins. I'm going to take the under on that. I see it more as I'll go with 55 wins. Geez, even that feels generous. Like going up 14 wins, but like again, like losing 121 games, that just took a lot of bad luck from a really bad team. So I don't know, man. The statistician in me doesn't like giving 14 wins to a team like the White Sox, but the statistician in me knows that like they can't actually be that bad again. But yeah, I'll go ahead and go with 55 wins for the White Sox. All right, spoiler alert, we're Guardians fans, so let's go over the Guardians. So last year, the Guards, they went 92 and 69, won the Central, made it to the ALCS, so they had a very successful season until they ran into the Yankees buzzsaw. All right, so Smokey, what are you thinking about the lineup here? What do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah, they've got a platoon situation going on. They've got Will Brennan and John Kenzie Noel in right field, and I think Lane Thomas hits lefties better than he does righties. So we may see some platooning going on, but I anticipate Brian Rocchio and Kyle Manzardo taking a big step forward this year. They look great in the playoffs. They've got some experience now. Rocchio's looked phenomenal so far in spring training. Jose Ramirez is Jose Ramirez. Quan is Quan. I think they'll be their vintage selves. And I think Bo Naylor, like a minor step forward. he's not going to be great. I think the real question is what happens at second base. I think Gabe Arias takes that spot, and he holds it down until Travis Bazana makes an appearance.
Yeah, so Fangraphs thinks Bazana will get about 22% of the playing time at second base this year. So, as a reminder, the Guardians traded their popular All-Star second baseman Andres Jimenez away, and in a three-way trade, and we got this guy Luis Ortiz, the starting pitcher. I'll admit I had not heard of Ortiz until we picked him up. Looking at him, he seems like he has a decent upside. He has not had a full successful season yet, but I think just how Luis does will really say what kind of trade that is. And then other major additions and subtractions, we traded away Josh Naylor, our popular 100 RBI, 30 homer first baseman, and we got Carlos Santana, another popular 30 homer, 100 RBI potential type guy. So that feels like a lateral move at first. We did trade away a platinum glove at second base. I think we will feel the heat there. Like, we're just used to having Andres' amazing glove at second, and none of these guys are, defensive geniuses like him. And none of these guys have played a full season in the bigs yet. So I think second base, we're going to struggle. But Rocchio, as you said, he's 23, 24. He wasn't great last year with the bat, but I like his glove, and he really shined in the playoffs. So I could see Rocchio, having a 2-WAR season, kind of, jumping up being an MLB average player, and then the 9-hole is going to be, the revolving door of second baseman until Bazan is ready. So the bullpen, this is going to be the best bullpen in baseball. We got the 4 horsemen, Clase, Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis, and Herron, and then we added Paul Sewald, Big Sobrowski, and Andrew Walters are exciting. Got a couple dark horses and guys like Enright and Saccone. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but he's the guy we got from the D-backs for Naylor. Smoke, any words about the bullpen? Or I think it's it's going to be an absolute wall.
Yeah, and you missed a couple guys. Big Arm and Trevor Steffen coming back at some point
Tommy
this
John.
year.
Yeah, he'll probably be back
Jacob
mid-year.
Was also signed. He's like a flex guy. He could be a starter. He could be the Pedro Avila innings eater type guy. He looked really good starting at the end of the year last year. I mean, I think he had 6 starts in a row with 2 earned runs or less. He could slot into the rotation.
Yeah,
entirely possible.
Yeah, I always liked him on the Royals, and I think he's got a lot of upside. Now let's get to the elephant in the room, the starting rotation. We got Tanner Bybee and Pray for Rain. There's a lot of guys with upside here, but we could have it could be a complete disaster, or maybe 3 or 4 of these guys will turn out to be pretty good. Lively came out of nowhere last year and was pretty good, but he's got a FIP ERA disparity that I'm kind of concerned about. Gavin Williams, young guy, like him a lot. I think he's got a shot to be a very good pitcher, possibly a great one, but he just has not proven anything yet. Luis Ortiz, there's a lot of weight on his shoulders because he's the guy we traded away Andres for. And McKenzie, who knows? McKenzie's been great in the past. He's been awful in the past. Got a Bieber coming off Tommy John. And then, Logan Allen, Cantillo, a couple of young lefties. What do you think the rotations are going to be like, Smokes?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot up in the air there. There's a lot of potential positives. You got Shane Bieber coming back around the All-Star break. You got John Means potentially coming back around the All-Star break.
That's right.
If one of those guys comes back, resembling how they've looked in the past, it's like winning the trade deadline. Those could be huge bonus in the rotation. And you still got young guys. In addition to Cantillo, you've got Doug Nikazi, you got Webb, you've got Parker Messick coming up from AAA. I mean, those guys are on the cusp. They've looked pretty solid. Gavin Williams has looked really good so far in spring training. Logan Allen pitched yesterday. He looked okay. I think with the bullpen being what it is, and you just need guys to go, you know, 5 6 innings, and you let some variation of the horsemen take it the rest of the way, and you could win a lot of games
Yeah,
possible.
that's true. Having a bullpen like this is tantamount to having like one very solid number three starter that you didn't have. I think it can really just give you like like 162 innings of mid to high three ERA production. So all right, so how many wins for the 25 guards, Smokey?
Um, I give them 88 wins as
88.
constructed.
Yeah. I'll take the over on that. I'll say 90 wins. I think they were playing a little over their heads last year, but I think we got some young guys, improving. We did, we filled a couple holes, so I think we'll be good. A little step backwards, but still very competitive in the AL Central. All right.
Yeah.
Next up is the Detroit Tigers. So last year the Tigers won 86 games, and they kind of came out of nowhere. If you remember, they were written off. They were terrible, and all of a sudden, like late August, early September, they just kept winning and winning and winning and winning. And next thing they were sellers at the deadline, and then next thing they found themselves, with a wild card slot. So I think everybody agrees that the Tigers are definitely on the upswing. They are mostly coming back with the same team. They got Jack Flaherty back, who they traded to the Dodgers, but it's mostly the same team. So we got Riley Green. He's the star. Rotation is Skubal, obviously. Cy Young. He's the best. He's scary. We did beat him in the playoffs, which felt great, but yeah, he's good. He is so good. He will probably finish top 5 in the Cy Young again. Flaherty is another great guy to have. And then it just kind of falls off after that. We got Reese Olson, who was good last year, but was also kind of an unknown quantity. Casey Mize, I believe, is the number 1 overall pick a few years ago. So there's, a lot of expectations on him. Alex Cobb, who was on the guards last year, coming back. Injury prone, but very good when healthy. They got Kenta Maeda coming back, who used to be good. I don't think he's expected to be a number 3 or anything, but who knows? Maybe he can pull a rabbit out of his hat. And the bullpen was great last year. AJ Hinch was really creative with how he used it, and it worked. And they got the same basic team coming back. So I don't know. What do you think, Smokey? Tigers?
Yeah, I think they've got among the best rotations in Major League Baseball, between Tarek Skubal, and Jack Flaherty. I think Reese Olson is gonna play into it. I think he's gonna get some starts, and Casey Mize and Matt Manning. I don't know if Kenta Maeda is gonna play into it. I think the big shortcoming with the Tigers is going to be their infield. So you've got the left side of their infield. Looks like Jace Jung is their starting third baseman, and Trey Sweeney, their starting shortstop.
Yeah, it looks like they're giving up on Javi Baez. He's awful. They picked up Gleyber Torres. Forgot about that from the Yankees.
Yeah, and then Colt Keith is a solid young player. He looks solid. I don't want to poo-poo him, but he's he's young. He could have a sophomore slump. They're having injury problems in the outfield. Riley Green, great. Kerry Carpenter, he had some injury problems in the playoffs and late last year.
Yeah, he's good though. He's a very good hitter.
Yeah, he is, and he can't hit lefties, but he can hit righties, and he's going to get the chunk of at bats. I think it really hinges on the same way the Guardians need their rotation to come together. They need their hitting to come together. Yeah, they kind of lack a big bopper in the lineup. They kind of lack somebody that can really enforce. So I think they're going to be really good this year, though, with their pitching.
Yeah, they got their rotation is top heavy, so Scooble and Flaherty, that's about as good a 1-2 punch as there is. And then Olsen was good last year, but that was his first, like plus season where he was really getting noticed. So who knows? But I don't really like their down rotation activity. But with that bullpen, kind of similar to the Guardians, it might not matter quite so much, especially in the playoffs. You can get away with 3 good starters in the playoffs, and they certainly have a shot at 3 good starters. All right, how many wins are you thinking for the Tigers next year?
I think they're going to take 90. I
Got
think they're
90?
going to get 90 wins.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of see them as roughly par with the Guardians. I do think the Guardians are going to be a little better. I'll give the Tigers 88 wins. All right. All right, let's take a peek at the KC Royals. So, we got Bobby Witt Jr., MVP guy. Like, he could win the MVP any year. I think he'll win one day. I like Vinny Pasquantino at first a lot. I think he's a very good young player. Sal Perez, possible future Hall of Famer, certainly a team Hall of Famer at catcher. And then, they did pick up Jonathan India. That's an interesting pickup. He's a good player. Smoke, what do you think about India? You've been around the Reds a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I think India's, there's a lot of enthusiasm in the way he plays, and people really like, they really like playing with him, and he's a good on base guy, and he's a scrappy fielder, and they needed some hitting, and they got it. The only problem is they traded Brady Singer to get it, and Brady Singer is a good. He's a good ground ball pitcher. He keeps the ball in the ballpark. That's a blow to their rotation, but they've still got a good rotation.
Yeah.
Give them that.
What do you think about this outfield? Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez, Kyle Isbell. I'm not very confident in those guys.
I mean, you'd think they would do something about that. They were kind of talking about doing something about it the entire off season. They kind of went the way of they went and got Carlos Estevez as a closer, and they went and got Jonathan India. So they kind of went the bullpen route, which I would say was their Achilles heel last year. And having Urcheg as well as Estevez on the back end is pretty confidence inspiring, I would say.
Yeah, their bullpen's pretty top heavy though. I'm not seeing a lot of lights out type guys down ballot there. Their rotation, man, Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, Waka Lorenzen. That's a very solid 1 through 4. Lugo came out of nowhere last year. He's like mid 30s and almost won the Cy Young. And same with Reagans. He's younger obviously, but I don't think anyone was expecting him to be as good as he was. So definitely leaning on their rotation. I consider the rotation might be the best rotation in the Central. But their bullpen is kind of lagging, and their offense, there's probably like 6+ hitters in there. They got, they're gonna have to rely on, young guys coming out of nowhere with big seasons and platoons. So I feel like the Royals are they just got too many holes. I kind of see them as backsliding a little this year. What do you think, Smoke?
I don't think they necessarily have holes. I think they're very shallow. So if you start to see an injury or two in the bullpen, I think Estevez is banged up right now, and with their already thin bullpen, and if any of their starters go down, they're pretty thin. So I think on the surface, if they can stay 100% healthy, they're a great team. But let's be realistic here. There's been a lot of pitching injuries lately, and you need more depth. You just do. It's the way it is. And if anybody goes down in their bullpen or anybody goes down in their rotation, they're going to be in trouble. I mean, they're not going to be able to hang.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely an exciting young team. There's just like, few holes in the lineup. I could just kind of see a few weak positions, and yeah, the bullpen's kind of concerning. So I don't know. How many wins are you thinking for the Royals, Smoke?
As constructed, I think about 84 wins.
84.
I just don't think they have the bullpen and the outfield hitting to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'll take the over, and I'll say 85 wins, just so one of us can be closer on that. But yeah, 84, 85, I think is pretty accurate for them. So pretty big clumping here so far. All right, let's take a look at the Twins. So the Twins, last year, they were in the mix for most of the season, and then they just kind of went in the toilet at the end. And, they were fighting for the division lead until about 2 weeks left, and all of a sudden they just go 2-12 or something, and then they barely finish with a winning season. So, now I do think they're better than that, but, man, they got Correa and Buxton. Man, this is not a very impressive batting order at all. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as their health goes, their batting order goes.
Mm-hmm.
We see Buxton and Royce Lewis, and those guys missed a lot of time last year,
Yeah.
and Correa missed a lot of time, and I think like maybe all three of them were in the lineup for a total of maybe 15, 20 games
Yeah.
at the same time last year. I mean, that's rough. That's hard to come back from.
Yeah.
They're all a year older. They're all a year with more wear and tear on them. I mean, people just don't get more durable as they age. And you look at guys like Lewis, who plays third base. You look at Byron Buxton, who plays center field. And you look at Correa, who plays shortstop. Those are physically demanding positions. So I don't think then there's only one DH spot. So I don't think the injury bug portion is going to change a whole lot.
Yeah, Buxton is tough because it's well known he's made of glass. When he's playing, he's number one overall pick, like top 10 MVP caliber. But if you have him at DH to protect him, does that diminish his value? Because a lot of his value is in his defense, and if you have a guy stealing 25 bases, hitting 25 homers, but playing DH, that's not really an MVP type guy anywhere. That's just a very good player. And yeah, but Buxton, Correa, Lewis, any of those guys could win the MVP this year. And they could also, spend half the year on the DL. They're all just injury-prone superstars. And then when you just kind of look at the rest of the lineup, you got solid players everywhere, but nobody that really, I feel confident, could step in and be Superman if any of these guys go down. So the rotation, I like Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan. That's a solid 1, 2, 3. Gets a little weak after that. The bullpen, again, you got Duran is great, Jax is good, and just kind of a lot of I don't knows after that. I don't really think they have any one great strength. They got I would say their strength is Buxton, Correa, Lewis, all possibly playing a full season. And that's just too big a question mark. What do you think about the pitching here?
I mean, they were in it until Joe Ryan got hurt towards the end of last year. And then, that the wheels kind of came off at that point. Joe Ryan is, he's probably the ace of that rotation when he's healthy. Anytime you see, somebody with ace material with arm problems, man, that moves the dial. You could say that of anybody in any of the AL Central rotation. But yeah, I think if healthy, they're one of the best teams in the AL Central. I just don't have a lot of faith in them to stay healthy as the team ages.
Yeah. All right. So how many wins are you thinking for the Twins?
I'll give them 83. They have a lot of financial restraints from ownership. I don't see them, I don't see them being able to make a big signing or make a big move, taking on a big contract. So I think 83 is about right.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be right around 500. I'm thinking a little lower than that. I'll go with 80. I'll go with the 80 wins. I think they're just going to be right around 500 and possibly slightly worse. All right, so that is all 5 teams. So looks like Smokey has the Tigers winning the AL Central, and Deej has the Cleveland Guardians winning the AL Central. So let's take a look at this after the season and see how it did. So stay tuned. We'll do the other divisions. Keep your eyes peeled in upcoming days. All right, thanks everybody. See you soon.